Right, look, I'll just get a picture of that. I'm here with Max and Stacey. We've just done an interview about what they're calling Piggate. Any thoughts? Initial?
Well, you know, our families and friends in America, when we go back there, don't believe the stories we tell about here. You know, in America, we have, our sex scandals tend to involve consenting adults, not children and dead animals. And I just find it a very disturbing thing about this culture here. I don't know what it is. It's the Eton sort of boys' school sort of weird power thing. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, they're saying it was a dead pig, but you don't know. It could have started out as a live pig, but then choked on Cameron's spew and died, narcoleptically being porked to death by the biggest porker in Westminster. I mean, that could have been. We don't know all the details. I guess we should be grateful that he was going into the front end and not the back end, because in Westminster, based on the pedophile kitty raping scandals, it seems like they have a certain affinity for the back end. But at least he went in the front.
Oh dear.
Well, anyway, so, you know, the fact is, Tony Blair, they're the same thing, aren't they? That's the thing. David Cameron, he calls Jeremy Corbyn a threat to national security. Now, in the US, if you are to apply for a security clearance, and there are 2 million Americans with security clearance, you need to fill out like a 60, 75-page document detailing every single thing about your personal life, including things like, have you ever had sex with dead animals? Are you having an affair? And if you have had an affair or anything like this, you're not able to get security clearance because it's possible that you could be bribed by foreign powers or anything like that. So my question is, you know, how long did Lord Ashcroft know this information? Was he using it to bribe it? Was he using it to pressure David Cameron? I keep on wanting to call him Tony Blair. Was he pressuring or pressurizing, as they say in the UK, pressuring David Cameron to have this job that he wanted?
That is a genuine security risk. I mean, when Corbyn became Labour leader, the Tories put out a statement saying that Jeremy Corbyn is a security risk based on a theory that's backed by nothing. Now we turn out that there's apparently a photo been circulating of the Prime Minister having sex with a dead pig that would open up blackmailing possibilities and therefore be a genuine security risk. This is a genuine security risk that should be responded to. I mean, the BBC, of course, is completely silent on this, presumably waiting for their script today from the Queen's office to say and what not to say. They're a state-sponsored, war-supporting, state-supporting propaganda organ of the war machine, and they've caught on the back foot. They don't know what the script is today. They're not journalists. They're the least impartial outlet in the world. Let's be clear.
So, I mean, this cuts to the heart of British values as well, doesn't it? Because this is a constant thing that David Cameron talks about, British values.
Yeah, and as Tim Farron put it, the best though is like, I'm glad today that I'm not that I'm a vegetarian, and it also explains Ed Miliband's face when he was eating that bacon sandwich, looking very grossed out. But
one person who I'm sure is feeling a bit, disgusted by it, all this would be obviously Samantha Cameron, for obvious reasons. My heart goes out to her because she's being caught up now in a scandal where I can't imagine what the bedroom was going to be like in that situation going forward, knowing presumably that your husband's been involved with a dead pig in this way. I mean, but maybe this being Britain, and we're talking about British values, this could be an aphrodisiac. It's hard to know. It's hard to know.
But this is going to be like, the Electra, the British, because the other day they were saying he's not singing the national anthem.
Yeah. Well, that's probably more important. David Cameron does, and people will overlook this other stuff. But the other thing is that David Cameron and all these Republicans in America, they're very, very, very interested in, you have to look macho and stand up to Putin and stand up to other world leaders, stand up to Assad. Okay, if you're trying to threaten Assad, he's just going to look at you and say, you put your right honorable member into a pig's mouth. Like, why am I afraid of you? You're just like this weird.
But they're just as bad and mad, aren't they, as Saddam Putin, or not?
I don't know if they have sex with pigs. I don't know. But, they don't try to be superior. They don't prance around on the world stage and say, UK, you better do this.
Well, Putin does. He takes his top off and gets on his horse.
Well, he could look, obviously, compared to David Cameron, I've seen him on the beach in Cornwall, and he has big, huge man boobs. Whichever, if people like that look, they like that look. It's a British values thing.
But look at poor Jeremy Corbyn walking around with his patchouli oil on, with his tie off. Do you know what I mean? The peace knit.
But Jeremy Corbyn doesn't lecture other nations. David Cameron lectures other nations. He wants to invade Syria. By the way, 81% of Syrians who he wants to go save from ISIS, 81% of Syrians believe that the US and UK created ISIS. So why, maybe somebody who's more impartial, maybe somebody who's not, that the Syrians don't see as being involved in causing the problem that they see in front of them.
Well, they just want to bomb everybody. All the superpowers want to bomb. All the superpowers want, because it's to do with business, isn't it?
Well, look, I mean, after it came to light that the US created ISIS, and then they're bombing ISIS, and they were hoisted by their own petard, Putin, and Kerry, the statesman Putin, and the
But they're going to have a meeting now.
The crestfallen Secretary of State Kerry, went with his tail between his legs to Putin to say, okay, you caught us, we did the coup in Ukraine, we created ISIS, we're sorry, what can you help us? And Putin very graciously has said, okay, you guys did it again. I mean, we love your movies, and I love Angelina Jolie, and the United Nations is a really fun place to go and talk, but you did it again. You created a terrorist group like you did Al-Qaeda, you created ISIS, they came and they started bombing you. I'll help you sort it out again, just keep those movies going, because, we love watching your movies.
But what about Jeremy Corbyn? This idea of having a peaceful world, is no one interested in that?
I don't think the populations are interested. If you watch Question Time, Now the audience was baying along with the panel when John McDonnell was there. They were demanding that he renounce violence that they allege that he endorsed from the IRA. Then, without even taking a breath, they demanded he support NATO, that he support a strong, expanding UK military, that he support Trident. And yet they didn't see this contradiction in their own thought process, that they themselves want the nation of the United Kingdom to engage in violence in order to get their way politically in the world. And yet they were demanding he renounce the same thing for other groups like the IRA. So that's what I'm talking about, is
because David Cameron stood up in Parliament, didn't he? He was asked a question by Dodds, who's somebody who's been to terrorist paramilitary funerals, so he was quite a hypocrite, and he asked David Cameron to denounce it. Do you think that there will be a question in Parliament this week about the pig?
Well, probably not from Jeremy Corbyn, I would think. It doesn't seem his style, but the likes of Tim Farron or the SNP or Alex Salmon, these sort of people will raise something like that.
But why can't Corbyn say, we've got a constituent in Cornwall who's a pig farmer who wants to know on behalf of their pigs whether the Prime Minister had fellatio performed on him from a dead pig? That's a legitimate question. I mean, what the pig farmers want to know, what the Prime Minister is doing with the pigs. That's a legitimate question.